Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Keeping It Real with me, Alex Cardinale. Welcome to the first episode of Keeping It Real here in 2023. Here on Keeping It Real with Alex Cardinale, I will break down America's worst tragedies. And I will tell us what we need to know about these worst tragedies and what we can learn from them so we can prevent similar tragedies from happening in the future. Tonight we travel back to the 1980s and we're going to learn about a elementary school bombing and an elementary school hostage situation that took place in 1986, a while ago. But in the 80s, people were very different than they are now. A lot of people had different mentalities, and a lot of people had different ways of thinking. Today, we're going to travel to Cokesville, Wyoming, to learn about a elementary school bombing and a hostage situation. So it's going to be an informal show. Feel free to post your thoughts on today's tragedy in the comments. What do you think about this tragedy? What would you do in this tragedy? Let me know in the comments. So, here is some brief introduction information on today's tragedy from Cokesville Elementary School bombing. On May 16th, 1986, David and Doris Young took students and teachers hostage in a classroom for over 2 hours with a bomb. The bomb exploded, seriously injuring Doris Young. David would shoot and kill his wife and then eventually commit suicide and kill himself. 79 people were seriously injured. 98 students and 18 adults were held hostage, with 79 of them becoming seriously injured. So let's learn about this tragedy right now. Here is what to know about the Cokesville Elementary School hostage situation and the Cokesville Elementary School bombing. May 16th, 1986 will never be forgotten by the residents of Cokeville, Wyoming. On that Friday afternoon, in their quiet rural town, a deranged couple entered the community's elementary school, took those inside hostage, and detonated a bomb in a first grade classroom. At that time, about 500 people lived in Cokeville, and there were slightly more than 100 students attending the elementary school. Located in Lincoln County and nestled between the towns of Star Valley and Kemmerer on the Wyoming-Idaho border, Cokeville, many residents believed, was a safe place to rear children. So let's learn about the perpetrators and the suspects of this case, shall we? David Young was educated at Chadron State College in Nebraska. He had earned a degree in criminal justice and was hired as Cokeville's town marshal in the 1970s. He was dismissed, however, from this position shortly after his 6 month probationary period. Young met his second wife, Doris Waters, while in Cokesville. She was a divorcee who earned money working as a waitress and as a singer in a local bar. Shortly after their wedding, David and Doris left Cokeville and headed to Tucson, Arizona. During their time in Tucson, according to Doris's daughter, Bernie Peterson, David became increasingly reclusive, focusing on his philosophical readings and writings. While he was writing his philosophy, Zero Equals Infinity, Doris took part-time jobs including housekeeping and waitressing to support their meager lifestyle. They lived in a mobile home with Princess, David's youngest daughter from his first marriage. He was the father of two, but was estranged from his elder daughter. It was in their Tuscan home that David came up with what he considered the biggie, a plan to get rich quick and create a brave new world. This plan involved David's longtime friends, Gerald DePay and Doyle Mendenhall, who believed by investing in David's scheme they would get rich. But David refused to reveal his plans entirely until moments before they unfolded. David's friends did not know that the biggie was a plan to take over Cokeville Elementary School, hold each of the children hostage for $2 million apiece, and then detonate the bomb, transporting the money and children to his brave new world where he would be God. While David and Doris Young were not involved in organized religion, both were deeply spiritual. They believed in reincarnation, which probably led in part to the creation of David's brave New World idea. David's writings reveal that he had hoped life would be better for him and Cokesville's children in this imaginary place. You've got to be really deranged to think that. And the Youngs were certainly deranged. They were mentally out there, and they were some of the worst people you can imagine. When Depp and Mendenhall finally got wind of his plans, moments before the hostage crisis unfolded, they refused to participate. David, who dared not risk their reporting him to the authorities, responded by holding them at gunpoint. He instructed Doris and Princess, by now a young adult, to handcuff them inside his van. David, Doris, and Princess proceeded to the elementary school, and they entered the building shortly after 1 p.m. that Friday. David had the makeshift bomb attached to his body and housed inside a grocery cart, while Doris and Princess carried an arsenal of rifles, handguns, and ammunition, as well as the Zero Equals Infinity handouts. But shortly after entering the school, Princess decided to rebel. She fled the building and drove the Young's van with DePay and Mendenhall still inside to the town hall where she reported her father's plan. Because they refused to participate, Princess DePay and Mendenhall were never charged in relation to this crime. In the meantime, Dave and Doris Young entered the school, gathered children, teachers, staff, and visitors in the elementary school into one central location. They attempted to crowd 154 people into one of the two first grade classrooms, a room with a total capacity of 30 students and a teacher. David set himself near the center of the room with the grocery cart bomb nearby as Doris went from room to room rounding up people. According to survivor accounts, Doris enticed many into the first grade room by announcing that their presence was required for a school assembly. Of course, most children were elated by the prospects of an assembly. Upon entering the classroom, children saw an arsenal of weapons, a grocery cart, and an unfamiliar man, David Young. Some of them believed the assembly was about weapons. Others, rightfully so, began realizing something was seriously wrong. Once all the hostages were contained in the first grade classroom, David Young informed them that they were leading a revolution, and he distributed copies of his philosophy, zero equals infinity, to everyone present. Just before implementing the biggie, his plan, David Young had also sent a copy of the document to President Ronald Reagan, the president of Chadron State College, and numerous media outlets. Cokesville Elementary School teachers and staff tried to keep kindergartners through sixth graders calm and entertained. In the tiny classroom, they watched movies, played games, and prayed. And then, shortly after 4 p.m., the bomb exploded. Witnesses later testified that just before the explosion, David Young had connected the explosive to his wife. Then he went to the restroom, which was attached to the classroom. Doris accidentally triggered the bomb by motioning to her hostages with her arms. The explosion engulfed her in flames and burned many nearby children. Now, many of these children were probably horrified. Imagine being a first grader, or a second grader, or a third grader and seeing a ball of flames walking towards you. But that ball of flames was actually a human being, and it was one of your kidnappers. She was burning alive. Chaos ensued. David emerged from the bathroom to find his wife in excruciating pain. He shot and killed her. Students, teachers, staff, and visitors frantically exited the building, with teachers helping many of the children escape through the windows. David saw John Miller, the music teacher, trying to escape and shot him in the back. David returned to the restroom and killed himself, ending the hostage crisis. The only two fatalities, the only two people to die were the kidnappers, David and Doris Young. Everyone else survived, including the injured John Miller. Reporters from all over the regional news outlets were on the scene by the time of the explosion or shortly thereafter. In addition, national reporters began arriving within hours of the explosion. Students, teachers, visitors, staff who survived the ordeal, and bystanders began recounting their memories of this event as it was still unfolding. Following the explosion, 79 children were taken to area hospitals, most of which were located more than an hour's drive from Cokeville, for treatment for burns and smoke inhalation. Survivors shared their stories with each other, investigators, family members, and hospital personnel. In the days and weeks immediately following this event, most accounts focused on the horrors of the day. As time progressed, however, a different story emerged in this highly religious and largely Mormon community. It became a story of a miracle rather than a tragedy. Oral histories, memoirs, and drawings began to reveal a narrative of fortune rather than misfortune. Survivors began to tell their story through a spiritual lens. They increasingly spoke about their memories in public with professional psychologists, church officials, and community counselors. Many recall praying silently, forming prayer circles, and seeing angels during the crisis. This narrative was perpetrated in many publications and productions. For instance, the Cokesville Miracle Foundation's 2005 book, Witness to Miracles, Remembering the Cokeville Elementary School Bombing, and the Wyoming State Archives Oral History Project called Survivor is My Name, both focused on the reconstructing of this narrative as a miracle instead of a tragedy. So this is one of the most craziest tragedies that I'm sure that I'm ever going to talk about here on Keeping It Real with Alex Cardinale. Imagine being a kindergartner or first grader or someone in elementary school. It's a normal school day. You're teaching your subject, and then these two deranged people enter the school, enter your classroom, and tell you that there is an assembly in one of the classrooms and you need to go there. Of course, as a young student, you're going to be really happy to see an assembly, but in the assembly, you see weapons, you see guns, you see a deranged looking man, a deranged looking female. You're probably confused, you're probably scared, and you probably want to go home. But luckily, no one died. Not a single hostage died. Thank God. None of the students died. None of the teachers died. No one from this tragedy died. And luckily, this has not happened ever again. And hopefully, it will never happen ever again. And what's so shocking about this is that there was actually a teacher that was coming to the school, coming to the Cokesville Elementary School for an interview. She wanted to be a teacher at Cokesville Elementary School. And when she arrived, she saw David Young and Doris Young, and she thought they were janitors because David was dressed like a janitor, and she was one of the hostages that was taken hostage. I found out about this tragedy on the TV show I Survived, and I've been watching the TV show I Survived for quite a while now, and I kind of enjoy the TV show I Survived. So let's recap the tragedy, and then I will give you my thoughts on this tragedy. So once again, here is the event and what happened during this tragedy. Here is a complete recap. David Young entered the school with his wife, transporting a large gasoline filled device that appeared to be a bomb. The couple corralled a large group of students and teachers into a single classroom. David attached the bomb trigger to his wrist and threatened the group that he might at any time move his arm and ignite the bomb. After a 2.5 hour standoff, the children were becoming restless. So the teachers preoccupied the kids in the form of movies, games, prayer, and books. David became increasingly agitated and decided to leave the room. Before leaving the room, David attached the bomb's detonation device to his wife's wrist. When the children became increasingly loud, Doris Young began begging the teachers to settle the group down. Eventually, Doris lifted her arm sharply, and the bomb went off prematurely, injuring Doris severely when David was out of the room. Returning to the scene, David shot his wife, a teacher, and then himself. All of the hostages escaped, though. 79 were later hospitalized with burns and injuries. The majority of the burns and injuries were severe. Here is some more information on this tragedy. In the classroom, David held the gasoline bomb with the triggering mechanism attached to a string tied around his wrist. He demanded a ransom of $2 million per hostage. So back then that was 308 million, 720 million adjusted for inflation, in an audience with President Ronald Reagan. David had also sent a copy of the manifesto to Reagan. With permission, the teachers brought in books, art supplies, and a television to help keep the children occupied. Meanwhile, police and parents gathered out of sight of the schoolroom where hostages were gathered. Doris tried numerous times to calm the children by telling them to think of it as an adventure movie or that they would have a great story to tell their grandchildren. Many children showed signs of distress, with sobs, complaining of headaches from the smell of gasoline, from the bomb or simply wanting to go home. One hostage observed a birthday on that day, and songs were sung in his honor. The hostage takers took part in the singing. The mood did not lift with the singing, and the teachers quickly negotiated with the hostage takers to get items from the library to help the kids get their minds off the siege and to help pass the time. Windows were opened to rid the room of gasoline fumes, and prayers were offered in small groups among the children. Throughout the standoff, David grew increasingly agitated and irritable. With fear that David might become unhinged, the teachers decided to make an 8-foot square of masking tape for his own personal space. We could tell that he was becoming very nervous. As I sat there and I watched him, I can feel he was becoming agitated. He had just big rings of perspiration. I was frightened and felt that we needed to do something to try to calm down or to be careful because he was so agitated. So we decided to take some masking tape and we taped, I think it was an 8-foot square in the middle of the room, right here, and he pushed a cart, the homemade bomb, into this, and we told the children that was the magic square. Don't go past this square. Some of the children just sat right all around and just watched him, and I'm sure that made him very nervous. Carl Peterson, a second grade teacher, said that. About 2.5 hours into the standoff, David transferred the triggering mechanism of the bomb to his wife Doris' wrist and went to a small bathroom that connected the first and second grade rooms. Doris developed a headache from the gasoline fumes and raised her hand to her forehead. This unintentionally activated the triggering mechanism, and the bomb exploded, severely injuring Doris and filling the room with black smoke and pockets of fire. Immediately following the detonation, the teacher started to shove the children into the hallway and threw 2 open windows onto the grass outside the school, causing chaos as panicked parents tried to break through police lines. The subsequent police report states that David opened the door from the connecting bathroom, shot his seriously injured wife in the head and killed her, shot and wounded John Miller, a music teacher who was trying to flee, then closed the bathroom door and killed himself with a shot from a .45 pistol to the head. During the chaos, Doris's burnt body was expelled through a window and left laying on the front lawn. When the bomb detonated, the majority of the explosive force was channeled through loose ceiling tiles in the roof and open windows acting as vents. This significantly mitigated the explosive power of the bomb. You could see that the roof tiles had been lifted out of their brackets. I don't think that they were planning, or David was planning on the ceiling tiles in the school, because in the bus, everything was solid in the school bus. There was no give in the school bus. Well, with that window being open, with the ceiling tiles being able to lift up and down, I think that absorbed a lot of the explosion of the gasoline bottle. All told, 79 of the hostages suffered injuries, mostly second-degree burns, smoke inhalation, and other injuries from the exploding bomb. The injured were triaged to several area hospitals in Wyoming and Idaho. But fortunately, none of the hostages lost their lives. All the hostages lived, and they lived to tell the story of the Cokesville Elementary School hostage situation and the Cokesville Elementary School bombing. So here are my thoughts on this case. This case was incredibly tragic. These children are going to be scarred for life. But fortunately, they lived to tell the story. And They're probably having a good life now. Very, very crazy tragedy in America. And this case proves that Americans have been crazy since the 80s. Not every American is crazy, but there have been crazy people in America since the 1980s. But luckily, no one else has decided to bring a bomb to a public school since this tragedy. All right. I hope you all learned a lot about the Cokeville Elementary School bombing and the Cokeville Elementary School hostage situation. Please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this tragedy. Until next time, stay safe, everyone, and I hope you'll never be involved in an American tragedy. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, American Alex Cardinale, for more amazing videos like this one, cooking videos, fish keeping videos, and so much more. Thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, everybody. Make sure to hit the like button and share this video with your friends and family so that they can watch this show and learn about this awful tragedy. Good night, everybody, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you for watching. Alex Cardinale saying have a great day, and thank you for tuning in. Hey, everyone. American Alex Cardinale here. I'm inviting you all to be a part of history. I'm inviting you to be a part of this year's anniversary celebration. This year, my YouTube channel, American Alex Cardinale, will be turning 9 years old. On March 6, 2014, I created this YouTube channel. On March 6, 2023, we celebrate our 9th year of being a YouTube channel and my 9th year of uploading some amazing videos. The 9-year YouTube anniversary is bigger and better than last year. For the first time ever, the 9-year YouTube anniversary is going to be a 2-night extravaganza. That's right, 2-night extravaganza. It all begins on Monday, March 6, 2023 at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, and it concludes on Tuesday, March 7th, 2023 at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. 2 nights, a lot of action, a lot of fun, and a lot of surprises. And you're invited to be there. Make sure you be a loyal fan, a loyal subscriber, and a loyal viewer, and come join the 9-year YouTube anniversary on March 6th and March 7th. Here is what you can expect on night 1 of the 9-year anniversary. Our special guest is going to be Kevin Cumberton, the owner of TangledUpInCichlids.com, an online fish store featuring South and Central American cichlids and more. I will be on location from Zoo Miami, see some cool wild animals, and see me feed some giraffes. There will be viewer appreciation. See me show my appreciation to Catherine Jones, Crayfish Man James Jones, and more. I'm going to do a new Italian restaurant review I have never been to. There will be surprise appearances from some legendary people. There will be some special surprises. There will be a fish keeping surprise. And on night 1, Chef Alex will cook calamari marinara, and he will bake Twix cookies. That's Monday, March 6th, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, right here on YouTube channel, the legendary Alex Cardinale. Night 2, Tuesday, March 7th, there will be a special guest. I will be on location from the Miami Sea Aquarium. I will show my viewer appreciation to Jeremy Stellhorn, Master 1989, Jeff, and some more awesome people. I will review the restaurant Ruth Chris Steakhouse. I'll review a crumble cookie. There will be special surprises, special appearances, and Chef Alex will make tortellini Alfredo, and he will bake Reese's peanut butter cookies. So, a lot of great things to look forward to. Make sure to mark your calendars. Monday, March 6th, Tuesday, March 7th. The 9-year YouTube anniversary. Be there or be square. And I hope to see you there. God bless America, and I will see you for the 9-year YouTube anniversary in March.